right. Hi, everybody tuning in. This is Tune In Next Week. I am Uncle Eddie.
I am Jacob. You should have been here last week when we knew what we were talking about.
Yeah, Tune In this week is going to be about something we will get to right after this break. But before we go to break, don't forget.
Don't forget, I'm Jake.
I'm Ed. Tell your friends. Tune in next week. We'll be right back after this break.
Well, I'll turn up to a place for brunch, and it's just, loaded, and we're going to have to wait an hour. And my thing is like, let's go to the place that's not packed. Maybe it'll be bad. But, maybe they got good food, too, and this place is just so cool that we're all willing to wait until we're famished.
Well, I got a freaking pork chop. I mean, what are you going to do with a pork chop?
I'll tell you.
It wasn't even I could
make you a good pork chop. You got to tenderize.
All right. Have you heard Bruce's voice yet?
Yeah, he spoke.
I'm here. But the thing is, you probably
we're live, by the way. I don't know if y'all know. Okay.
Yeah, we're live. The thing you probably already know is whenever you go to on a vacation or visit someplace you're not really sure where to eat,
where the truckers eat,
or where the locals eat. You always try to find out.
Well, that's what this place I went in. It was full of locals, but it was the downtown.
Yeah, but I went in there,
the Chamber of Commerce and so forth.
I went in there during the day. I just to walk in, just to see it. Not
the museum or the Ground
Zero?
Well,
I went to the museum, and then after the museum, I walked over because Ground Zero's right there.
Yeah.
So I walked over just to walk inside and check it out and say I was there. But the museum was great. But my other favorite place in Clarksdale was Cathead Records.
It's upstairs across the street from the general store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, really, really
Clarksdale's
cool.
a cool town if you're into the blues and music and history and slavery. Let's call it like
I'm into the history of slavery, not.
Yeah.
But I don't like how it's persisted to the
Blues
present.
Festival out there, Bruce?
No, but the guy who owns the record store, Cathead, I talked to him for a while, and
he's like the Chamber of Commerce guy for the whole town.
Yeah, he runs this, what is it called, the Sunflower Festival?
I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. But he runs a blues festival not only there, but in other places around the country. He's involved. He books the acts, and we talked for a while because I'm a huge blues guy. I mean, if I had to be on a desert island, that would be the music.
You ought to try the King Biscuit. My son-in-law booked us. My family says we're all going to meet and go to the King Biscuit from different parts of the country. So my son-in-law, who's not married to my daughter yet, he says, I'm cool. I'll make the reservations. And we say, okay, Brent, handle it. We're the first ones to arrive here on that. It's like 10 on a Thursday night before the festival starts. And we find this place called the Plantation Inn. And it looks like an airline highway 50 cents an hour kind of place, right? We go to the check-in. The check-in is like no bigger than a phone booth with a window that slides open. And he says, give me your money. And he hands us a light bulb and a TV remote. He says, this is what bring these back when you check out. The place went downhill from there. But anyway, we go across the street. And we met the same guy you met, I bet. We were eating at this their version of Dwyer's, right?
Yeah.
And this guy sees it, and he comes over, he sits down, and he starts chatting us up. You got to stay at the shack up in next time. You got to go to Cathead Records. You got to do this. You got to do that.
Right.
So we stumble out. We go to the general store downtown, which is pretty cool. And he's in there too. I own this place. He's apparently the whole guy.
Yeah.
But
my wife has stayed at a shack up, but then Greenwood, which is where Robert Johnson's.
One of his graves.
Well, supposedly the real one.
Yeah, I went to all three of them.
We stayed at this place that's just down the road. That's old converted sharecropper shacks, right along the river there, and it was really cool. And then we got up in the morning, and it was all foggy and nice, really nice.
So we did the Greenwood thing and stayed in a bed and. I guess an Airbnb or something. It was a big, huge house, and it was empty. We just had it all to ourselves right on the river with a mountain and everything. Very cool.
And there was a great restaurant that I recall in Greenwood.
We went to that restaurant and Cheryl ordered. She didn't know what it was. It was before it was called lobster and pork belly.
Ooh.
In Clarksdale. Now, you got to figure the lobster and pork in Clarksdale is pretty fresh. It's like 1,000 miles from the nearest beach. And pork belly, which you didn't know what pork belly. This was before pork belly was on every menu in the world.
Yeah.
And it came out with a big pile of grits with a pork belly slab and a hunk of lobster on top of it.
Dang.
Tell you what town is cool, though, is Cleveland, Mississippi.
Come on. I've been.
Have you?
Got a blues festival there. My grandparents would live
Yeah,
right
they
outside
do.
of Cleveland. I know
But they
Cleveland
also have-
intimately.
They have a Grammy
I
museum.
spent every
Yeah, Ohio's
summer.
hopping, man. Ohio's like the country writ small, you know.
I spent every summer in
But
Cleveland, Mississippi.
Cleveland,
Delta State
Mississippi.
University.
I spent a week there one night.
Yeah,
Yeah, they have a Grammy museum.
sure do. The Grammy Museum.
Oh, cool.
Not the.
Huh?
No. There's a Grammy museum in L.A.
Oh, well, they don't count. They're all liberal out there.
Exactly.
They don't know
No.
nothing about blues.
They don't
know
like it
about
on the
cotton.
coast.
It's a really very cool museum. And when we were there, they probably still have it. They had a wonderful women in country music display, you know, with everybody from Dolly Parton to the current state of women in country music. And it was wonderful. It was very interactive. I got to write a song with Keb Mo.
What?
No,
You
he
wrote a
wasn't.
song with Keb Mo?
Yeah, he wasn't actually there.
I was going to say it's karaoke with Keb Mo's robot.
You go into a booth, like a recording booth, and he's there, and he's kind of, giving you instructions on how to create a tune, and
What?
here's some, here's some examples, and you can write lyrics, and
Come on.
and then he plays it.
Hit yourself on the foot with a hammer so you got some pain before you start.
It's
pain
re-
if you're going to sing the blues.
It was really cool, and then there's a interactive dance thing. This guy takes you through dance steps, and you got to try to do his dance steps.
Did you run over to Indianola to the B.B. King Museum?
Been there, buddy.
Yeah, it's
Been
good one
there.
too.
And so now I personally have completed the whole Delta run. I've done the
Whoa.
entire
Same as me.
Delta.
We must have been on the same path, man.
Wow.
That's why I saw 3
All the way
Robert
to-
Johnson's museum grave sites,
Have you seen like the?
and went to Oxford to see the household
Oh, yeah,
Faulkner
Oxford
lived
was-
in. What's his name?
Yeah.
And did the blues tour there, and did.
Have you found like
Cleveland
the
and,
crossroads where?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Crossroads
That's
got a
a
big
What?
old sign.
Scale.
Is there really
Yeah.
a crossroads?
yeah.
Oh, there really is a
How
Crossroads.
would you know?
There's a big sign
there's a
says
big sign that
Crossroads
says Crossroads.
right here, and it's 61 and whatever.
And it's like gas stations and
It's like Four Corners.
Yeah.
Like, is this
Yeah, yeah.
really where? Am I really
Yeah,
in
but
all
there's
4
a big
states
but
right
there's
now?
a big sign that says Crossroads.
Yeah,
Wow.
and you can
So-
buy a T-shirt for $90. It says
Yeah.
"I saw the Crossroads" or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
with a picture of
Met the
the
devil
billboard.
at the Crossroads.
Yeah, and he
Yeah.
didn't teach me nothing.
I got the blues though.
Yeah,
but
I
I'm-
still
That's
have
good
the
to know,
blues.
Bruce. We have something in common there.
We do, and I've done the Delta blues trip all the way to Memphis. Memphis is cool.
Been to
Oh,
Memphis,
yeah, man.
Memphis is totally cool. That the one place I haven't gone is Nashville. That's on my bucket
Really?
list. Nashville.
Never
and
been
then,
to Nashville.
Then Cleveland, Ohio, to see the Rock and Roll Hall
Rock
of
and
Fame.
roll.
Got to
Didn't
go
do
there,
that either.
and I got to go to Seattle to see the Experience Museum,
Whoa.
which was
Hendrix?
basically dedicated to Hendrix, but involves a whole pantheon of rock and roll. And apparently, I've seen pictures of it. You walk into the lobby, and the ceiling's like over 100 feet long. And in the middle, as you walk in, is a tower of guitars welded together
Oh,
from
man.
floor to ceiling.
That's pretty cool.
Like
But
1,000 guitars all welded together.
What about Punxsutawney? Have you ever been to Punxsutawney where they have
No,
the?
seen the
groundhog?
that has nothing
No,
to do with
seen
the
the
blues,
movie.
though, huh?
I don't know, man.
So-
Whenever that winter sticks around, like it's doing now, I got the
Yeah.
blues. It's been cold. There we go. We're talking about the weather now.
Yeah. Hey, yeah. Today's topic is going to be, if we get to it. We're all recording now, right? This
Yeah,
is real.
We've been recording for like 12 minutes.
Okay. Well, it's this says tune in next week in case you didn't know. My
Yeah.
name is I'm Uncle Eddie, waving here,
Heyo.
and
That's the shadow. He doesn't speak.
Shadow knows.
Shadow Blues Man.
And Jacob doesn't know, but he would like to know if you have enjoyed the show, in which case you could email him, i.e. me, at jwhite@aocinc.org, and tell us if you like it, tell us if you hate it, and if you'd like to come on, we're always open to having another guest.
Yeah, we got an empty chair.
That's right.
and,
Yeah.
It's pretty flexible.
Yeah.
But today's topic was going to be, and I guess it still is,
Yeah.
climate change.
Yep.
And I personally am here to tell you, I'm concerned. And generally speaking, I'm in denial. Like, I'm denying the coronavirus ain't going to bother me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do this. But this whole climate thing is freaking me out because we're ignoring it, and Australia is literally on fire.
Well, that's
and you
one of
got
the
that.
reasons why I mentioned the topic, because of what recently happened with the fires. But because of fires, and the same thing happens in California when they have massive fires, is you burn all that brush, right? and then the rains come.
Rake it, baby.
And
Rake
because there's no all the brush and because it's just dirt at that point,
the soil erodes more
nothing
easily.
to hold the
root
rain
systems
back.
are
It's
damaged.
flooding, and now they're having massive flooding in Australia.
Yeah.
And whole towns have been evacuated. So they were evacuated for the fire, and now they're being evacuated because of
Have you seen
flooding.
the flooding videos? They're more horrific than the fires were.
Wow.
I mean, I'm talking like tsunami-sized things running through
Yeah.
towns that's
Yeah.
coming down from, I guess,
So Australia, like a fifth of Australia got burned. A fifth. 300 or so people, I think, died, but millions of species
billions.
of
of
animals,
individual,
animals and flora and fauna gone.
Sure.
And so this whole thing is everybody's calling that it's hinged on climate change. So I don't know the origin of the fires, and that's what I was trying to look up today. What the origin was, where it first started, and why.
Well, while you're looking, I'm going to take the role of Rush Limbaugh just to provoke this, that climate change is a fraud, and this is nature's way of balancing things.
It's a
Nature has
hoax.
done this before, and you're all going to die. Nothing you can do about it. You might as well smoke cigars.
Yeah, it's a hoax.
Get the medal of freedom.
It's a hoax to get us to buy into organic materials, which is always,
The
more
Green
expensive.
New Deal,
Go
the
to-
UN climate accord. I mean, so my thing with all this is that climate change is one part of a multifaceted ecological collapse that we're able to witness because it happens over the course of decades and not instantly. But we're in this like human bloom recently, the last 100 years. The last 100 years, I don't know if you've heard the stat. More people are alive today than have ever existed
in total
before.
or something,
Yeah, I mean probably not, but it's about 10% of the people that ever existed are alive today, just because of the nature of exponents and the fact that we have industrial agriculture and can feed so many more people than we can. But guess what? We can't do that forever.
So you think all this is nature's way of saying slap back, folks? There's too many of you?
I don't think it's
Chill
that
out.
as much as it's just like we're having this craterous impact that we get to enjoy right now, and we're not going to get to do this forever. This is like a thing that is unfortunately going to end in misery and pain for billions.
So you think there's no solution? And I agree already, though. I don't think
No,
there is a solution.
I think there are solutions, but I think what we're dealing with is an imbalance.
Yes.
So for millions of years, evolution on this planet, if you believe in evolution, if you believe,
For
which I
billions,
personally do,
planet's
billions of years on this planet
About
evolved.
a billion we've
Okay.
had life as we know it.
This
3,000.
planet,
Eukaryotic
planet
3,000.
evolved, right, in a natural course. Everything happened, developed, evolved, however you want to call it, in a natural balance.
Well,
Right?
what do you mean? I mean, a natural balance. Yeah.
Meaning that there
in
was no interference, that there was no...
By what? I mean, there was interference by, space
Well,
trucks
we weren't
and
belching.
engine.
We weren't
Natural
belching
interference.
poisons into the air and into the
Yeah.
water.
Well,
yeah,
to
no, I
the
mean, there
degree we are
was.
now.
Of course, there
That's the
has
point.
been. I mean,
That's
there's
the point that I'm
for
making.
most of the existence of life, our life wouldn't have been possible. Like, because life changed things so greatly,
Right.
cyanobacteria changed. Eventually, there was enough oxygen for stuff like us. Well, for a while, there was way more oxygen, and we couldn't have survived. So right now, the way it is, it's nice for us. That's true. Hasn't always been this way, isn't always going to be this way.
But the balance...
We're changing it at a faster rate.
That's the point. We're
Yes.
changing. The balance is going more askew. We're not going back to balance. We're going more to the
Well-
tilt. I think we're out of whack. And I mean,
We
to me,
know
we're out
this-
of whack as the environment and society's attitude. And the whole thing is
Well, we know there's
Disharmonious.
holes in the ozone.
Well, not anymore. I mean, we actually saw that. That was one thing that, there's still not quite as much ozone as there
we
was.
patched them with smog.
Well, no, we banned chlorofluorocarbons. We did that as a
Yeah.
species. We said we can't do this. This is bad, and we actually did it, and it worked. And there is an ozone layer
But
again.
there was damage from the time that, it was much larger than it is today, or much
But
more.
regardless, so that's one factor among so many, and
Right.
some of the ones that are maybe even more imperiling are less noticeable. I mean, until you go outside and listen, because that's the thing. it's not climate change that why we don't have the number of bird species that we used to, that we don't have near the number of insect diversity that we used to. Those are the things that are, climate change is exacerbating it. It's changing the way that people, that species travel, the way that they migrate. But overwhelmingly, it's because we have taken over their habitats, and because we poison things with our industry in a way that we don't.
If you're going to be
face
so
in the
smart, you ought
long
to put yourself on camera.
Oh, my bad.
every now
My
and then.
bad. That's terrible.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Back to us.
The balance. It's a balance. Man has to find a balance between man or human and the rest of the planet.
But we that's the point.
We're gonna. I mean, we're kind of in. The thing is, we're in balance. We're always in balance. It's just the balance is heading toward a place where maybe it'll look more balanced because it'll be less of us.
I'm going back to the nature's telling us to fix it, and we can't fix it, and nature's going to smack us back, and there's going to be devastation. There's going to be famine. There's going to be death. And,
there is right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But it's going to it maybe 20, 30, 100, 200 years, but there's going to be a new birth and a whole new renaissance based on what's left. I mean, the technology will survive, but people won't.
Scientists are saying much sooner, but from
2 degrees C in the next 100 years, almost certain.
Yeah,
and that's low. That's low projection.
Yeah.
So that's 4.5 degrees hotter on average per day.
But not only that,
us.
but the increasing warmer temperatures of the oceans.
Yep.
Yeah,
and the rising, which
of the ocean.
Means more rain, and Beau Rivage is going to be off my travel.
Right, and increasing the rise of oceans. Which everybody says, Nevada's going to be on the ocean. It's going to be. There's going to be
Jackson, Mississippi will
be.
Abbeville will be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll definitely. I mean, if we saw a
Miami will sink
of sea rise.
We're already losing small towns on the Gulf of Mexico.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean But that's the other thing. Is it's like that's part of like building a civilization. It's like this form of brutality because it takes. You have to do all kinds of things that. Hurt the people that you say you're trying to do it for, and of course that change the environment. So with the Mississippi, it shouldn't even be where it is anymore. We've kept it there.
Yeah, we forced it into the position it's in, right?
Yeah,
it's going to pay us
like
back.
At some point, that's not going to be. It might. Maybe we can stop it another few hundred years, but maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we should become a species that knows
lives
that
with
it's
the land as
yes,
opposed to trying to control it.
Exactly. That builds with things that we know we're going to. Tear down and build again in 20 years, or builds with things that don't get toxic when they get wet.
Right.
Well, just to carry on with what we're doing, the top 10 most pollution sites in the United States, whatever, out of the top 10, 5 of them are here in Louisiana. And I suspect most of those are on the interstate right near Sulphur.
But
I should have brought that story in today. I just read that.
Well, it's today's story. Yeah, it's brand new.
It was today's story. I read about the top 10, and you're right, 5 of them are in our state.
But
and
the answer is it smells like commerce. Yeah, it smells like cancer too, but that's commerce. And so what are you going to do? Cancer versus commerce? Let's have commerce. The cancer be damned.
Well, even better if we charge you when you get cancer, because that's more commerce.
Yeah. Or you can die.
But we're right in the middle, or not necessarily the middle, but we're right in that corridor of New Orleans to Lake Charles.
Oh, yeah.
I grew up in Lake Charles, dude. I got asthma in the mug.
They call it toxic highway.
Toxic alley or something.
Toxic alley.
Cancer alley.
Cancer
alley. I mean, that's where we're at.
The whole Mississippi area over there south of Baton Rouge is full of cancer.
So even with the restrictions and the millions of dollars that various companies are putting into trying to combat these toxins.
What do you mean they're putting in? I mean, that's like saying like they're doing it of their own accord. I mean, there are minimal regulations that they duck. And there's some thought is put into mitigating the impact. Some, it could be more. I mean, we could put public pressure, but instead, we're made to attack one another over meaningless, iconography.
Well, part of the reason we're never going to solve this is because we can't all agree that we got a problem right off the bat. And then I'll take the Rush Limbaugh argument again that nature's going to do us in. Why fight it? And then I'll counter that by saying, well, why would we not fight it if we know we're making the problem worse? All we've got to do is take corrective action. Maybe we won't fix it, but we'll slow it down for our generation.
Right. It's either going to be nature or us. One of the two.
Well, but see, that's still, man, we're putting ourselves outside of nature. We're not. We're nature. Like
I
the
understand
climate
that.
change.
But
Yes,
I know what
anthropocentric.
you're both right in nature. Nature is going to take care of the species that are fucking things up, and it's not going to. It might kill off a platypus or two, but for every platypus or every
Yeah.
three-legged grasshopper that goes down, couple of the shadow here, he's going to be vaporized.
Well,
Probably.
in 4 to 7 million years, biodiversity will reach the levels that we've destroyed now. So that's the question. In 7 million years, where will we be? And that's where it's like, oh, wait a second. We're not an impressive species. We're an algal bloom. We're this
Yeah,
thing
I
that's
get
learned
it.
a bunch of stuff, but we don't have the discipline as a species.
Man, you're messing
To
with me
control
now.
what
We're not
we-
in charge. We're not on top of the.
We're maybe humans will maybe this thing that we are will have persisted in 7 billion years, and we'll become more attuned with what's going on. But as it is, like, we're not, and I think we need
Adapt
to
to our
stop.
environment like most animals do.
Well,
I mean,
we've
you
created
look at-
an environment. We've enclosed ourselves in environments that allow us to adapt to ease rather
Right.
than to the
'Cause
surroundings.
Animals are incredible. Most animals are incredible in adapting to their environment. If
Sure,
the environment
Because they don't
changes,
adapt the environment to them. They adapt to their environment.
Well, and if
that's-
they
Right.
don't, they die.
That's-
So
yeah.
the thing is, yeah, they're incredible at it, but like I think we discount. What does that mean? What does that mean for those species that are incredible at adapting? What is their daily life like?
survival.
existence,
Pain,
survive.
suffering, yes.
Yeah, maybe so.
You-
Well, cats in the backyard are not suffering, but their instincts totally
Maybe
protect them
so.
from bad weather.
But
their hair
here's-
grows long at the right time of the
Yeah.
season. They know when the rains are coming. They've adapted. They don't know they're suffering. They're just
Yeah.
suffering because they don't have an electric can opener.
But here's the thing. I agree with you the fact that we are nature. We are part of nature as a human race on this planet. But what's happening is that it's unnatural aspects that man has done that is putting us where we are now, like deforestation. Like, we know that trees put out oxygen that helps us breathe.
I mean, yeah.
Okay?
The ocean does more, but yeah, totally.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, but
good to have
combined.
forests.
But deforestation, where big companies like McDonald's get farmers to cut down thousands and thousands of acres of trees to graze cows
Grow Big Macs, baby.
for the Big
Yeah.
Macs.
To grow that one
this
kind of
is-
potato with the long French fries.
There you go. There's, why? We don't need to be
Well,
in that direction.
That's why we
need-
got the problem. One of the reasons we have the problem we have now is we think we're above all that.
Yeah.
Talking about the Amazon, the indigenous tribes in the Amazon,
Yeah.
they got all this figured out. They don't
Yeah.
try to redirect the rivers. They know when the rivers are going to flood, so they don't build in the floodplains. They don't grow,
Right.
and they have adapted to their environment. Here, our so-called civilization and
Yeah.
industrialized, we try to combat. We're going to build dams. We're going to seed the clouds. We're going to do this. We think we can beat nature,
Yeah.
and that's pretty naive and sort of
But there were some
well,
people
it's
out
ultimately
there.
defeating.
yeah.
Go ahead.
But there's farmers, organic farmers, or just natural farmers who have this idea. In order for them to exist, they have to go a more natural way, and they have figured it out. And I've seen documentaries where this is taking place right now.
Yeah. Yeah, but the thing is, if you want economies of scale like we have, then it's well, you put all your money in this monoculture. You just want to keep going, eke out as much profit as you can. That's understandable from a capital point of view,
Yeah, but not from a civilization.
not from a
Yeah.
civilizational point of view. And so then,
So where does the two meet? I mean, you've got to find some happy medium
No,
here.
it's,
Well,
we
we have
meet.
to
We meet at
adapt.
when the river comes up around your nose and you can't swim. When the smog, your grandchildren's noses are going to be this big because they got to have filters.
Yeah.
They've evolved filters in their nasal passages to clear out all the muck they're breathing, and their lungs are going to be this big. And
Yeah.
they don't have feet
Yeah.
because they don't have to walk anymore. They're going
Yeah,
to
Yeah.
be on a biped or some
No,
kind
I-
of
I get it.
motorized
I
device.
I mean, we'll
Everybody's
develop
ass
too.
is going to be
We'll-
as wide as the chair.
we'll change, we'll adapt. I understand that.
Yeah.
But, to what point? I mean,
well, to that point, I mean, that's the thing. It'll probably be a Morlock situation. We'll have the LOE, which are the rich,
Yeah.
and we'll have the Morlocks, which is everybody
Yeah,
else.
no, and I get you.
Do you have to live underground if you're a Morlock?
Oh,
Isn't
yeah,
that-
you do.
yeah.
You better not be
Actually-
showing up on Rodeo, buddy, because I pay good money.
Hey,
in
buddy, I'll
taxes.
tell you something. We're there now.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
Morlocks all over
Did
this
you see
country.
Parasite? Oh
Yes,
my God!
yes, I did see Parasite.
Good movie.
It was the best
Yeah.
movie ever, dude. The best. You literally, Ed, could watch it without subtitles. It is that good. It is literally a story in pictures. You would never
It is.
be lost.
It is.
It is. I'm gonna watch it again without subtitles to see.
It's an
It is
achievement.
fantastic,
Oh,
man.
that's a high endorsement then.
Yeah.
I liked it.
have to go
I
see
wasn't crazy about it.
Oh, I've been
because
changed by it.
The violent aspect of it at the end. Sorry, spoiler alert.
No spoilers.
There's blood. A little, just a little.
It just kind of, I don't know, shook me up to that point. I
Yeah.
thought it was really interesting.
Are you aware of the violence that persisted throughout?
Yes, and you know, yes.
That's the thing.
Yes,
That's the as Benjamin put it. Every civilization is a monument of brutality.
Yes.
You know that's the reality.
Right.
You know, by having these strata exist, by having mastered the society, the environment.
Our podcast since the very first one have gone back to how come we default to violence and aggression as opposed to default to collaboration and community. We automatically go to tribes and we automatically become not defensive but aggressive towards other tribes. Why is that? What's built into our nature that makes us have to
Violent.
fight by default as opposed to collaborate by default?
Evolution.
Ton
You know,
of
it's-
essays out there about why we're a violent society. Is it inherent? Is it in our DNA to be violent?
Well, but I mean, you know, define violent society because like we have this lapse in violence that exists within a society, but it is dependent on the expectation of violence if you don't follow it.
Right.
If you don't go
fear
with
of violence, fear of violence makes you peaceful.
Yes, and then further compounded by in this version of capitalism, we perpetrate actual violence on migrant workers and other poor around the world to get the stuff that we, pay $10 so my coffee stays hot for 4 hours. I mean, I don't think this was made by slaves, but a ton of the stuff that we touch is straight up slave labor. I mean, over a billion
very much
slaves
so. Well,
is a low number.
Just take a quick look at Mardi Gras. Our giant Bacchanalian feast was built on the backs of people that were building the crap we throw on the ground.
I know,
and those people are
man.
making like 4 cents a day, and their fingers are bleeding, and they're eating noodles and happy to have it.
Shipping us litter to
And they're
throw.
shipping us that stuff, and we're paying big money for that crap to throw on the ground. And woo-hoo, it's religion, and we got a culture going on here.
Yeah.
And I'm not, I've had fun abusing things too, but all of that is symptomatic of how indifferent we are to the well-being of the species.
Yes, but then the question is, how can we change it? And I think the answer to that is always you got to remain within it and illustrate positive change through your own action. So in this case, we ought to start a damn crew.
We ought to
that
throw
throws
avocados and
stuff.
grapes.
Or like the Irish parade where they throw the stuff for the soup and you go home and you
Well,
boil
they
soup.
had
Throw cabbages.
The crew that Kanai
Yes.
is an eco-friendly.
That's right. That's right.
So that's already
Self-made,
happening.
You have to make your own throws and everything. too.
Yeah, that's
pretty cool. I kinda
And
like that.
they actually have a version of it in New Orleans as well.
Okay, cool.
Prior to Mardi Gras Day. But, that's instead of these tandem floats where, these people
Well, I mean, that one's more
are trying
like
to get a bead.
It has
most
something to do with
most-
human stupidity.
Yeah, because most of me is going to like, okay, I'm sorry, just real quick, like, how much money are you worth compared to how much is that thing you're putting yourself in danger for? Like, what are you doing for this
I don't know.
experience? Anyway,
Have
it's a tragedy, but
Have
it's
you
like,
have you ever been to a pep rally where you didn't think the home team was going to win? You lose your shit, and when you get in that emotion, and you think you can get to that bead, and so we're going to have people getting killed, and it sounds kind of harsh, but that's just the cost of doing business.
Well, I read something today that said that
I don't want to stop tandem
in
floats.
the history of
It's
Mardi
fun. It's
Gras
cheap.
in New Orleans, like that's very few of these incidents have happened. But,
Very few. Yeah.
But it's again, I don't know. I don't know if they were going for beads or they're trying to get to the other side. Or what the deal
no,
was,
I mean, I
but-
think both of them. I think they were reaching for
We
stuff.
lost a guy here 4 or 5 years ago. Fell off of a float in front of Fatima, I think.
guy
and died.
fell
Yeah.
off
But see, then my mind
Off the
turns
float.
to just the comforting statistics that I, as a white male straight person, have, and that is like, okay, how many people do we have on the parade? Like, how many people total? what is the average mortality rate for each of those people? People die.
Somebody's going to die.
Yeah, they might have died at home.
Anyway,
Or in
Or they might
traffic.
have,
That's the...
they might have died walking to the parade. Who knows? But
Yeah. So do we ban, that version of sneakers? My thing is we're a little too ban happy. I think we need to maybe dial back the rules that we have on individuals and dial up the rules that we have for industry, because that is the more consequential place where we need protections. In my mind, just off the top of my head.
Yeah. But, people are always going to do silly stuff.
And they're going to die, and we need to build that into our paradigm.
Yes.
As opposed to stopping all deaths.
Yes.
Just build in that. Same thing with poverty. We tend to think there should be no poor people. There's always going to be poor people. We just have to make the bell curve high in the middle.
And make their experience one of dignity.
You can't make the bell curve flat. But you can minimize the highs and the lows, and everybody can live a life.
You know how I see it, Ed? I see it as like when you go to Disney or you go to one of these places and everybody's going to get
poverty.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because actually, kids have always thought I had money. Like when growing up, I don't know why. Maybe I know I stunk for 3 years when I was in puberty. I never took
you dress in a tie.
That's what it is, dude. I would always go to the big and tall men's store and find gear. But anyway. You go to Disney and you go get your food and you have your little tray and you want to set it down, and sometimes there's no table. And the table is like this thing that we could put more or less of, but it's like maybe I don't get to have a table every time I eat, but I feel like people are entitled to tables. Is that too metaphorical?
Yeah.
My point being that
the
table is a thing that we've come up with and it's sweet.
Right.
And maybe we could have some that aren't even there all the time so you can walk around. But the point is that we shouldn't deprive people of stuff that people came up with before we were born, because now it's sorry, a table's $300. You can't just have a table.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, that makes more sense.
I know it's a little out there.
No, it's okay. I understand your metaphor. The thing is, all humans have the right. And some of us do and some of us don't.
The capability.
Or even have the ability.
That's why there's always going to be a bell curve.
Yeah,
there's always going to be a bell curve.
But there doesn't always have to be a $3,500 charge for a coronavirus test, because that is a place where...
Well, now you're getting into morality and ethics.
Well, no, it's all the same thing. It's
capitalism.
We have invented a thing as a species. So wait, I'm sorry. You get to charge me? Who are you?
Yeah.
This is a thing that we're all sharing, and now you're going to charge, especially because it makes us less safe, but on a more primal level, you didn't invent the concept of medicine. We have got to start democratizing access to the human mind.
Yeah.
That's the thing. We come up with a coronavirus test. You don't charge for that. Right. That's a thing that we're all going to stick together with.
We suck that up, and they're afraid it ought to be.
Man.
Well, unfortunately,
now people ain't going to go get tested, and that's actually happening.
Unfortunately, that's where the thinking goes. The thinking goes to the cost.
Yes.
Rather than the preventive.
But it's not just the cost. It's the profit, because the cost is all the countries deal with the cost. How much is this going to cost? How much does this molecule and this molecule, and how much to put them together?
Yeah, cost and profit in in American society are different than they are in other societies.
Yeah, how much do you think that test cost versus how much did they charge?
Right, absolutely.
Just as when I was a kid, very brief story about when I was a kid and I was in business school. And they taught this whole idea that an American business, an entrepreneur opens it, and I'll use retail store. He opens his retail store and he figures out how much he has to pay for what he's going to sell, and then he has to figure out how much he's going to pay a salesperson and his rent, and then he adds a profit to that of some reasonable percent,
a modest profit,
and then they charge that. Now it's all about, no matter what it costs, you get the cost as low as possible and you charge as much as possible no matter what. The profit, you could live great on 20%, but we can get them to pay 30, go for 30 automatically. And that's just raw fact of life. That's how businesses have evolved now. The amount of profit is way more important than the value of the product or the cost or the life-saving benefit
and the
or
growth.
anything else.
Are we making more last year than we made this year?
How much can
Vice
we
versa.
extract from people for this commodity? That's
Right.
why you pay so much for cable. They know they can get it from you.
Yeah.
Cable ought to be the cost of transmitting that data is almost nothing.
Well, and the
it's-
infrastructure exists.
And
so
cell
let's pay the
phones,
content
yeah.
creators and
And
the
s-
workers.
Yeah, we can.
And smartphones. Everybody has a smartphone, and so
They
they
should
know
have
that
one. Yeah.
you know that you're going to need it.
But it's also
thing.
credit,
Here's
you
the
know.
thing I saw today. I saw this slight documentary about this guy, and when he was young, he got into the nightclub business. And he was, every night boozing it, and every night, had the clubs going.
As
and
one
had-
would.
as one would, and really, into the drugs and the whole aspect of it, and really got totally involved in it, and was paying $40 a shot to get a bottle of champagne and selling it for $500.
Yeah.
Okay, so that
yeah.
goes to the profit margin we're talking about, and he's getting into all this, and all of a sudden his life starts. Breaking apart and falling down because of that excess, because he allowed excess to be a part of his day-to-day living.
Is it not that people stop coming to the club? Because I love the what's the Rolling Stones, the main guy that never dies?
Keith Richards.
Keith Richards says, "I never had a drug problem. I've always had enough money."
Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
pretty true.
Yeah,
No,
I mean,
he's never had a drug problem because it's not a problem to him.
yes. Yeah. Well, I guess
it
that's
could have
also.
been. It could
I'm
have
bringing
been.
in a different topic.
But anyways, this guy, when he spiraled down, he got out of it and realized he needed to do something to change his life. He got on this. There's a ship that goes around the world with doctors, and they port somewhere, and then they take care of people that really need like
Doctors Without Borders or something to that effect.
Well, this is a ship.
Uh-huh.
This is an actual ship, like, a huge ship that has all doctors' quarters and doctors headquartered on it, and they go to various third world countries, and they take care of people that have tumors and all kinds of things.
They have one that
So he got
goes to
involved.
the US
He got
too.
involved in this, and he was going to all these different countries. And one thing he noticed was that people were not. These issues were stemming from the fact that the people were drinking terrible water. Like the water source was infestation and had all kinds of toxins in it, and it was not pure water, and it was they go down the river to get water, and their child will get eaten by an alligator, and I mean this was
That's a
this
whole
was their
separate
life.
issue. That's-
Yeah.
This is their life, and so he came up with this idea to try to establish pure water in these villages.
Think of
And
the
he-
money.
So he started this organization called Charity Water, and it's all donations, and he's served over 1 million people.
Yes.
He's got them pure water.
They
Now,
dig
what
pumps,
is
dig
that
wells, rather.
repercussions of that? The repercussions of that are those young children now are going to be able to survive,
Yes.
and those young children will grow
Yeah.
They can
and
spend
have
money.
a better life. And
That's where
Contribute
I
to
was.
the economy.
Yeah.
But that's where we need to go. We need to go into the fact where we're going to take care of situations like that,
Well-
which will have hopefully positive reinforcements of positive repercussions.
Yes, or that's where we should go with our arguments, because that's the thing I was trying to get at with the table, that a well would have been a better one, to dig a well.
Right.
It's this thing that we know how to do.
Serve the
Can we
multitudes.
give this to people? Because
Yeah.
everyone will be better if you're not freaking out because you don't have, or actively being harmed because you don't have access to stuff
Yeah.
we know how to do.
Why don't we-
Without thinking that you need anything from it. Just
Yes.
getting people
Yes,
together,
that's
and
the
that
thing.
goes back to what we were talking
Like
about
Jonas
last
Salk,
week.
like the smallpox vaccine.
Right.
you
Last
know?
week we were talking about communities. This is where we need to go. We need to go to this idea of community and helping out others who are less fortunate.
Authorism doesn't pay. It takes too long. You just mentioned that it takes a whole generation for these guys with fresh water to start paying off. You can't wait a generation. I got to pay the rent right now.
Yeah.
Heck with them.
Yeah.
That's part of our problem. Is that we've
It's a mentality.
kind of
I
reached
understand what
we've
you're
reached a
saying.
critical mass of need for things that we don't really need, that have taken the place of what we like, clean water and clean air. And
Yeah.
why do you mean, look at me. I'm a fat white guy. I can make a good living. I live in a more or less safe town. I live in fear all the damn time. Is it somebody going to stab me? Is a politician going to come take my house? Is it,
Yeah.
you know, and I worry about a whole lot of people around me. I see people where we work. You're in the place. This whole neighborhood's full of people that need help.
Yeah.
And we're sitting here going, well, we need to help people. Well, there's a guy 20 feet from here, I bet, that's homeless.
Yeah. Well, and that's the failure of multiculturalism, that we I want to help. I see these people starving over here. And it's like, but we have neighbors who we see as others.
Sure.
Because we have the cover of, but I sent money to Australia or whatever it is. Not to bring up that issue in particular, but we give a little in one way, and then that perception is ameliorated somewhat, and we don't have to, see. Because the thing that brought up the table thing was I'm driving over here. Two of these different indigent people who I've now talked to for years are just both looking so old and bad, dude. And and I'm like, God. Yeah. I've known them for 5 years. They look like they've aged 20 apiece, both of these people. And it's just, God, are they not worth something to us?
Yeah, they absolutely are.
But not to our current paradigm. They're not. They would be, the only thing they're good for is to continue to rack up numbers places so people can bill the government. Yeah. They're not seen by most people as actually worthy of time and hugs and scrubs, because they both needed baths.
I think there's something in the human psyche that needs somebody to look down on, and that's one of the things politicians are aware of.
Yeah,
and that's
maybe so.
Overcoming race and so forth is people need somebody that they can be better than.
Yeah.
When you were a kid and you were running track, you didn't want to be the last kid. I don't care if I'm second to last, but somebody's got to be worse than me at this.
Yeah.
And when you came in dead last, you felt like crap. And if you've been in the middle of the pack, well, Bruce is slower than me, so I'm cool. And I think that's kind of built into us a little bit, that as long as there's somebody worse off than me, then I'm doing okay.
And I understand that, but then even if you come in last, you still participated. You still ran the race.
If you're chasing the gazelle and the other guys are eating it a mile ahead,
but
and you didn't catch up.
You crossed the finish line. You may have been last, but you crossed the finish line. You've accomplished something.
Yeah, but you have to understand, that mentality doesn't work where we're from. Where we're from on the plains somewhere, if you can't keep up, we might still want to keep you, but you just don't make it. Because the world was so hard. And now we still have this mentality of it being hard. I super resonate with that, Ed, when you talk about being above someone. Because I have this guilty feeling a lot of times where I'm I'm driving home, man. I'm comfy in my car. I'm about to be comfy in my house. And I see these people. I'm just like, God, they ain't going to be comfy. Yeah. No. They're suffering all night. Mm-hmm. And it's but it's like a weird, almost a warm, golly, but thank God. Maybe it's gratefulness, but it's also this vestige of zero sum mentality that we need to move beyond.
Zero sum mentality.
It's not zero sum anymore. If we work together, we can get more than if we don't. And that is just provable. The interstates. No one person could have built that, but we decided we're going to leverage our future and spend hundreds of billions of dollars and build something that we now get, $2 trillion worth of value a year out of.
Could you imagine trying to pull off something of that scale in this country today?
Exactly. That's the thing, that we need the mentality of
that takes collaboration. It takes a quick analogy or comparison. When rats live in a nest and there's a rat or two goes maverick and starts pooping where the food is, the rest of the rats kill that rat.
Whoa.
They get rid of the people that don't play for the benefit of the team.
Yeah.
Natural selection.
And we...
Well, that's natural selection.
Yeah. We don't... I don't think we do that. We need to...
Yeah, I agree, man. I mean, if not, kill, sequester,
and
reappropriate. And so instead of locking up people with drug habits or people who are impoverished and therefore sell drugs, we need to turn our eye toward the people that are actually ruining the game for everybody, and those are the bigwigs. But if the system won't do that, if our institutions won't, we got to start an Ocean's 11 gang and knock off the rich people. That's what I'm thinking, or at least make a movie about it.
So
somebody else will.
Well, I think civil unrest is going to keep percolating until there's violence. I don't have any doubt.
Yeah.
Right
there
now,
already is a lot.
We think there's a lot of civil disobedience now, but people at Kent State, for example, there are 4 people dead and the riots in the street, Watts, Philadelphia. There's a whole lot of example of it being way more violent than this, and nothing changed. Nothing changed. We still have abject racism. We still have poverty in Watts. The area in Philadelphia that they bombed it's just another ghetto again. Nothing changed. And that was serious violence. I mean, we're talking about killing people on university campuses by the National fucking Guard.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that? Could you say that out loud? The National Guard killed 4 people on the university campus for protesting in this country, and nothing changed at all. Nothing. That's
but see,
that's
now
that's
like,
an aggravator right there.
You know, it's still that threat is there, and you know, it's all that's always there. This like tension between power and the populace.
Keep us down.
Yeah, man, it's a weird one, man. I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna figure it out just in time to like catch a comet to the brain or something. You know, it's like it's so hard to get a grip on what the heck.
Part of my problem is I feel like I'm going to live to see the outcome.
Yeah,
you know, I really do. I keep thinking, well, man, you know, pretty soon we're going to know. We're all, you know, is the comet's going to hit or the ocean's going to flood my house. And, you know, I don't realize how brief my time here is. I really feel like I'm going to live to see us. Poor people will be perhaps institutionalized, but it'll be more like a Garden of Eden institution instead of brick and cinder block institution.
Yes.
I feel like I won't notice a person's race until after I've talked to them for a while. It won't be the very first thing I see.
Yeah.
I really, in my mind, I'm convinced that I will see that time in my world. Well, that's pretty stupid. I won't. I know, but
while you're here, be as productive as you can.
Well, I'm doing what I can. I'll
Well,
work on this. I'm
That's
not as
what
flippant as I sound.
And that's what we do. We all do what we can, and we believe in that potential, which is a true potential. I mean, that could arise, and it does. I think, you know, like enlightenment, it arises in bubbles all the time, all around us. But it's, you know, can we alter the species, man? Maybe.
A lot of altruistic people out there, no doubt.
Yeah.
But they're all succumbed to, I got to pay the rent.
Yeah, man.
And the rent's too damn high. And that's the world we live in right now.
Yeah. I'll tell you this, man. I have the most incredible landlord on earth. I've been living in the same place for 10 years. He raised the rent once by honest to God, like 2%. Like enough to play the yard guy more. Just the nicest guy ever. You know, but I know, you know, if I stop paying, we're good pals. But I mean, I got to keep paying. It's weird. Parasite. You got to watch Parasite.
I might make that a point for the weekend, but I have a lot of naive questions that I know the answer to. But why do we have empty houses?
Yeah.
You know, it's empty. Put somebody in there for a while. I mean, they're not going to. You don't have to. Well, maybe.
Well, I mean, the whole thing is like. The reason, I mean, for me, it's the same as bringing this dog inside. You know, I got this dog, man. I had to bring this dog in because he's out in the rain and he's about to get hit by a car. Now I got more chores.
By the way, dear
dog.
listener, if you're interested in a great pit bull, contact Jay White at aocinc.org. He's adoptable. If I get a picture in time, we'll put it in there.
Put a picture because I did finally post today.
Jacob,
okay, well, send me that picture. We'll put it on here too. So we have a dog.
Look, you took some action. You made a choice.
Yes.
You didn't have to, but you didn't have to.
Yes.
But you made that choice. We do that on an everyday basis.
But we could make the choice easier to make for the average person if we started building tables. You know, if we start making a way for it to be simple to, okay, look, you're off on whatever it is. You're either drug addicted, you're mentally ill, you're both, you're just completely down on your luck, you lost your family or friends recently, whatever it may be. Here's some
compassion.
Help. Yeah, and maybe we get you cleaned up enough to put you in that house.
Here's the tools
and in the
resources.
meantime, here's a room that you can...
why is there 100 billion plastic bottles floating in the ocean when every one of those plastic bottles could be a brick in a house in the Sahara Desert?
Yeah, that's...
that kind of stuff.
That
just naive and
depresses me.
Yeah.
You know, we can get depressed. We can get depressed, and we can think that, you know, look, it's all shit. But it's, you know, part of it is shit. But, you know...
there's some Shinola. There is Shinola.
I'm gonna still hold on to my hope.
Me too. I'm gonna live long enough to see this all be resolved.
I'm never gonna lose that hope because that's the only thing that's keeping me alive.
I'm saving up to have my head frozen. so that I can.
Oh,
yeah,
very nice. Just your head?
Just the head. That's all they need in the future.
My brain is going to the University of Miami.
Is it seriously?
No, seriously.
Why Miami?
Because they have a Parkinson's research. I have Parkinson's. So,
What?
Yeah.
Oh man, I didn't know
And so
that.
you get and so you're going to donate your brain there? Is
Yeah,
that all
already
arranged
have.
already?
It's all
Cool.
arranged.
Did they take it? Did they take it yet, or is it still? Okay.
Some people might say
But
so.
yeah, get a little rim shot up there.
My wife might say agree with you. There,
Yes.
so.
Yeah, come pick it up now. He's not using it.
Yeah, I'm not using it.
Oh, man.
Same here, man.
Very, very little.
That's
of it.
cool.
You can have it.
That's cool. Yeah, man. See,
Yeah.
for posterity, you know.
No, not for posterity.
Well, yeah.
Just for research. Just so.
Well,
that-
but for those who come after us, so they'll know
Yeah.
more. You know.
I mean, I've got this thing. I'm not going to roll up in the corner and say, life is over. No way.
Mm-hmm.
Life is just beginning for me.
Yes.
Personally. So, but I want to do anything I can to help further the research so that this sucker can be dealt with.
Yes.
And this beast can be taken care of and taken down.
I'm just going to live till it all works out.
Yes.
Yeah.
I plan
Sounds
on
like-
not dying.
For a person as negative as I am, somewhere in the core of me, there's optimism.
Yeah.
Even to the point of it's going to be terrible, but we're going to get through it. That's my optimism. It's going to be terrible. We'll get through it.
Well,
as
and
opposed
that's
to
a
it
good-
won't be terrible.
And that's a good adaptation to have, whether it's true or not. Man, that will get you a little further. Like Napoleon, I heard recently. Napoleon counted when you're running simulations on battlefield tactics. Who's going to win? Napoleon counted as 40,000 men. That doesn't mean that he. Basically, just this guy.
That was his value to
If he's with the troops, they're just gonna do better. They're gonna kill more of the other side. It's just
It's
there's
like Drew
something about
Brees as
belief.
opposed to Teddy Bridgewater. It's a psychological thing.
Exactly.
He
dude.
will lead us to victory, so we will all try 10% harder.
Yep.
Just without even knowing it.
Without even knowing it.
Dude,
Yeah. So we got to all have our own little
So
Napoleon.
let's go back to
on
the
our
original
shoulder.
topic, which
Well,
was
how
not
much-
the
how much
blues.
time do we
but,
have left?
No.
I have no idea.
I think
can
we're
never
out of
tell.
time, and I'm going to come back to
Yeah. Hey, man, 5
to
minutes.
is there what does an individual do? Dear listener, we're going to give you some advice now. We're going to each of us is going to give you that bit of advice that you can climate change, adapt, or correct, or what are we going to tell our listener about climate change? in particular?
Recycle, reduce, reuse.
Repurpose.
3 R's.
Yep.
Repurpose.
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 How
Like
about
you said
regurgitate
earlier,
then?
take
We're
all
going to
the
go with our
plastic-
words.
Take all the plastic and make them into buildings or
So I think
chairs.
that, see, those kind of opportunities are all over the place, and I know sure there are people doing it, but it ought to be built into my recycling. These are bricks for houses,
Yes.
and these,
Yeah,
as
I
opposed to,
agree.
it's just too inconvenient. Well, it's
Well,
not
that's
too
the thing.
inconvenient.
I mean, if we had better planning mechanisms, we got this government. We're paying a bunch of people a bunch of money to be like the planners, and they don't do it. But we could definitely just say that. Okay, guess what? When you package stuff, it's got to be in these things because these things are useful.
Right.
And when
your
it's finished,
round
we
bottles
take it.
need to be square so they stack better.
Whatever the heck it is,
It's
yes.
like, as they say,
could do that.
Dasani doesn't make water, they make bottles.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
It's
those
like
bottles
coffee
don't get
shops
reused.
don't sell
Yeah.
coffee. They aren't in the coffee business. They're in the milk and cream business.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah.
More or less.
In summary,
Yeah, in summary,
summary.
I'm still optimistic. I think that we have the know-how. We need to learn to manipulate the mechanisms of power and use the know-how we have to solve things for our posterity.
maybe that's the topic. Write this down, Bruce. You're the one with the still functioning brain if you haven't donated it yet.
Posterity.
Next week we talk
Posterior.
about how do we reduce the impact of mega power. The power is so consolidated in so
Yeah.
few people. How do the rest of us manipulate that to our benefit? We don't even have to take the power from them. We just make them use the power for our benefit instead of for their own self-gratification. They can still be richer than me.
Yeah.
They can still own 10 homes. They can still have boats.
Yeah.
They can still pay for carbon buyout or whatever.
Yeah.
But they should work for me and still be rich. I don't have to bring them to my level.
We're supposed to be living in a democracy.
That's
supposed to
another
be.
joke.
Yeah, well,
Next week,
so-
we're supposed to be living in a democracy. Who are you going to vote for? Well, I watched CNN, and they told me I had to vote for them.
I'm voting for the antitrust candidate because antitrust was used a century ago to solve
worked a lot,
these problems,
yeah.
and it worked really well. You take those big entities, you don't destroy the wealth, you break it up.
Yes.
You say, guess what? You only get to do 10% of what you're doing. That is still enough to make enough money for 80 lifetimes, but it's not enough for 800. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you could take 90% of the wealth of those people, and they would never ever know that you took it, except when they read their statements. Their houses would still be all over the country. They'd all be well lit. They'd all be eating the best. They would never know the difference, except the psychology of it was stolen from me to give to the poor people.
Yeah.
And that's.
But you could definitely axe 10%, and that's all we need. We don't need most of it. We need a chunk of it. And, you know, maybe it's more if you do nothing to help. But
I think a better topic for next week is, have we progressed or regressed?
Well, both. It's always both. That's the
Is that the continuum?
Read Aristotle.
It's not a continuum, it's a circle. And if your circle's going down the toilet, or if your circle's like a tornado going up, but it's a circle. Everything is cyclical.
Yeah.
Your atoms are cyclical. Everything is cyclical. It goes in everything. But if you're are you going up or you're going down? You're not. Your cycle's going in a linear path.
I want to go up.
There's a timeline. But
let me go up. Let me go up.
So you're saying it's Fortuna's wheel? Oh, Fortuna, blind, heedless goddess.
There you go, man. You see, he talks like this, like I read, like he reads. I don't even know what he's talking about.
Well, because it's New Orleans. It's a confederacy of dunces, man. You got to read that.
Oh, I read that. I read that book. I have no recollection of what you're saying at all.
You got to reread it. That book is like.
That book changed my life. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I bonded with Ignatius. I understood him completely.
I just read it.
Wow,
I'm
cool.
reading it. I haven't finished. But I'm reading it.
It's such a trip.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Fortuna's wheel is what he's always. Fortuna's wheel is spinning upward, and then when something's going wrong.
I love that guy. The play was really cool.
But
yeah,
for a long time, my laptop screensaver was the Lucky Dog warehouse in New Orleans.
Oh my God,
Lucky Dog.
That sounds good.
Institutional.
Let's go get some dogs, guys.
Okay.
Yo, you want a pit bull?
If you wanted a hot dog, where in town would you go to get one? Because I like hot dogs. Where would you get your hot dog?
I'd go to Dat Dog.
Do you really?
Yeah.
How about you? You a hot dog guy?
Yeah.
Where do you get them?
In
the kitchen at your house, huh?
Yeah.
Usually, but Dat Dog's pretty good.
It is. It is good. It's good. People have come to me with, I didn't like it this or that time. They've got pretty good consistency. It's just they're trying to fill a big space and
they got more issues than I can fix. They wouldn't listen if I told them.
They won't listen to me.
The building is that's the issue.
What a cool building! Yeah, it's just.
Yeah.
I think it's underutilized. That
way
building.
Yeah, it used to be utilized a lot better. Tipitina's Music Co-op.
Well, no, but I mean, they were utilizing a slice of it.
This is the times of the Acadiana building when it was percolating in this side of town.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
I remember the days.
Yeah,
remember the days.
All right. Well, my attention span is starting to wane. I haven't really fixed anything, but this is Uncle Eddie signing out.
Yeah.
Shadow here, Shadow knows.
Thanks both of y'all. This is Jacob. I notice that about 30 minutes in, I start playing with this. That's my attention span. It's like once I start coiling this wire. But thanks for sitting with us if you made it the whole hour. This has been Tune In Next Week, so be sure to do so.
Tell your friends.
Yes, tell your friends. And subscribe to us on iTunes, because by the time this is up, we are on iTunes. You can subscribe to us. It helps us to see that we have some numbers, that we have that listener that we covet so greatly.
Dear listener, use both of your email accounts to thank us.
Yes.
We have 2 listeners.
Tell your enemies as well.
Yeah. Tell your enemies, because they need to hear all this stuff.
There is a spare chair if you want to be on.
Be one of our enemies here in this room with us.
I guess I could have introduced him, but since people are watching at home, Shahid's on my left, like you get the watching the field from left to right.
Me and Eric.